Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all my friends and our lecturer, Dr. Abdul Majid. Okay, today I would like to present our topics about environmental issues. And my part is about definitions of environmental issues. Okay, the definition of environment issues from UNDP, United Nations Development Programme. Environmental issues are defined as problems with the planet system that have developed as a result of human interference or mistreatment of the planet. Environmental issues are harmful effects of human activity on the biophysical environment. Environmental protection is a practice of protecting the natural environment on the individual, organizational, or governmental levels for the benefit of both the environment and humans. Environmentalism, a social and environmental movement, address environmental issues through advocacy, education, and activism. Okay, this is some example of environmental problems such as global warming, overpopulation, greenhouse effect, deforestation, air and water pollution, attack of marine life, soil erosion, other climate change issue, destruction of biodiversity, littering, destruction of natural habitats, oil spills, and others. Okay, now we look for one example of environmental issues is ozone depletion. Okay, ozone depletion, gradual tightening of Earth's ozone layer in the upper atmosphere caused by the release of chemical compounds containing gases, chlorine or bromine from industry and other human activities. Okay, for example, from our aircon, our gas aircon and others. Okay, now we look at overpopulation in Hong Kong, for example, and India. Overpopulation is one of the examples of environmental issues, which is the condition of having too many people living in a certain area. Okay, now we look for one example of environmental issues in Japan. Uh, they kills 1,000 of whales in a single journey in the everyday. Okay, now the other example of environmental issue is infectious diseases. Infectious diseases are spread by either bacterial or viral agents and are ever present in society. Usually infected cases are present in numbers below an expected threshold, but every once in a while there may be an outbreak or a new strain or a new disease that has a significant impact at either a local or global level. The spread and rate of new cases can be classified as three: endemic, epidemic, and pandemic. Okay, what is the endemic? Endemic is describe a disease that is present permanently in a region or population. Epidemic is an outbreak that affects many people at one time and can spread through one or several communities. And pandemic is the term used to describe an epidemic when the spread is global. For example, COVID-19. Okay, endemic. Example of endemic is malaria. For example, malaria is another infectious disease that is endemic to Africa. Through education and implementing countrywide strategies, the cases of malaria in Africa now are falling. Okay, now we can see a video about malaria.
Over the past 15 years, there has been a dramatic decline in the global burden of malaria. Progress includes a 37% drop in new malaria cases, a 60% drop in malaria deaths, and a 65% drop in deaths among children under 5. 10 countries that had malaria in 2000 are now malaria-free. Nearly 60 countries have reduced their malaria cases by 75% or more. The malaria target of the Millennium Development Goals has been achieved. Progress was made possible through a massive scale-up in effective malaria control tools. Mosquito nets have protected millions from infection, illness and death. Rapid diagnostic testing has enabled timely and appropriate treatment. And every day, artemisinin-based combination therapies save lives. But our journey is far from over. In 2015 alone, more than 400,000 people died of malaria. And there were 214 million new cases of the disease. Across Africa, 1 in 4 children is still not protected by mosquito nets or indoor residual spraying. And about half of pregnant women at risk of malaria do not receive a single dose of preventative treatment. Malaria is preventable and it is treatable. To accelerate action towards elimination, the World Health Assembly has approved a global technical strategy for malaria. The strategy shares the same timeline as the Sustainable Development Goals. It sets ambitious but achievable goals for 2030, reducing malaria cases by at least 90%, reducing malaria deaths by at least 90%, eliminating malaria in at least 35 countries, and preventing a resurgence of malaria in all countries that are malaria-free. To achieve these goals, global financing for malaria will need to triple from current levels, reaching $8.7 billion annually by 2030. With all partners united, we can defeat malaria and transform the health and livelihood of millions of people around the world.
Okay, now we look the meaning of epidemic. Epidemic is, for example, obesity. Over the last 3 decades, the United States has seen an increase in the number of people who have a BMI higher than the recommended average. Epidemic can follow predictable patterns, and these trends are often used to monitor, predict and control the spread of the infection. A typical example of this is seasonal flu and pandemic. Pandemic is the rapid spread of transmissible infectious communicable disease over several continents or worldwide. Once an epidemic becomes global and affects a large percent of the population, it becomes known as a pandemic. The term pandemic and epidemic are used to describe the rate and distance of the spread of the disease and not the severity of the disease. And okay, this is the last one, my reference, and that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Okay, today I want to continue my group presentation. My topic is about local and environmental issues. So in my opinion, the relevant ministry that responsible to the local environmental issues is Ministry of Environment and Water. So currently our ministry is Datuk Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man. Okay. So as we know that a latest incidents last year occur in Pasir Gudang is about gas pollution. Okay, on March 2019, the thousands of Malaysians fell sick after being exposed to different chemicals illegally dumped into the Kim Kim River that located in Pasir Gudang. According to an investigation after the incident, local authorities estimated that around 20 to 40 tons of oil waste were illegally dumped into parts of the Sungai Kim Kim River. The contamination has sickened more than 5,000 people, including hundreds of students and children. Okay, so that our Ministry Education before this, YB Datuk Masli Malik ordered the indefinite closure of 111 schools in Pasir Gudang. Okay, from the slides, we can see that the school children in Pasir Gudang are reported to have suffered breathing the difficulties because of the air pollution. For them, then we can see also about the emergency personnel attend to a student in Pasir Gudang, and so on. Okay, next, between 20 to 40 tons of waste dumped into river. Some of the chemicals found in the river and its health impact are listed below. So there is benzene, acrylonitrile, hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride gas is intensely irritating to the mucous membranes of the nose, throat, and respiratory tract. Exposure to high concentration can rapidly lead to swelling and spasm of the throat and suffocation. Okay, there is also methane chemical, long-term exposure to methane, toluene, and xylene, ethylbenzene, which is exposure to high level of ethylbenzene in the air for short periods can cause eye and throat irritation. And dilemonin. So that's type of chemical. So the chemical can impact environmental, health, and socio-economical impact. Okay, we can see also Ade Irfan Wafi Idham Wazi, 13 years old, was diagnosed with myokemia after the Sungai Kim Kim pollution incidents. So that Ade Irfan has have myokemia, that's which is a type of ailment which cause several parts of the body to tremble. Means that Ade Irfan seems his body seems like menggeletar, like Parkinson. So Ade Irfan can't active like before. Okay, next my part is about Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. Sustainable development is a balance between the development, economy, and environment. There is need to conserve the environment while at the same time maintaining the sustainable level of development and economic growth. Okay, Malaysia. I want to share how the Malaysia's journeys on sustainable development. Our country started on sustainable development since 1970s, when the new economic policy was introduced in 1970 to eradicate poverty and restructure societal imbalance. Third Malaysian Plan 1976 to 1980 and its mainstream sustainable development into national development agendas. In 1991, Malaysia launched Vision 2020, the national aspiration of becoming a fully developed country by 2020 in economic, political, social, spiritual, psychological, and cultural terms alike. Okay, in 2009, Malaysia formulated the new economic model (NEM), which further cemented Malaysia's commitment to pursue sustainable development based on three pillars, namely high income, inclusivity, and sustainability, which mirrors the three elements of SDG, namely economy, social, and environment. The NEM provides the basis for 5 years the Malaysia Development Plan until 2020. The current 5 years Malaysia Plan is the 11th Malaysia Plan 2016 to 2020 is premised on the three pillars of NEM. The term of 11th Malaysia Plan is encouraging. So the next Malaysia commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). So our countries, together with other world leaders, adopted the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development at the United Nations General Assembly in New York on 25 September 2015. This is a global commitment towards a more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive development with 17 sustainable development goals, 169 targets, and 232 indicators. So our country has implemented specific efforts to incorporate SDGs into national framework by mapping the SDGs to the 11th Malaysia Plan (MP). This mapping exercise was intended to reveal interaction between the goals within a cluster, which may cut across economic, social, and environment dimension. So we can see that the table 11 Malaysia Plan (MP) trust to SDGs. Okay, so our seven strategic trust first, enhancing inclusiveness towards an equitable society, is mapping the SDGs 1, 2, 5, 6, 10, and 11. Next, our strategic trust 2, improving well-being for all, which is focused on healthy individuals and happy household living in cohesive and united communities. This embodies the vision for a social advanced Malaysia. It's mapping to the SDGs, which is term 3, 11, and 16, which is good health and well-being, sustainable cities and communities, peace, justice, and strong institution. Okay, how about the third strategies? Accelerating human capital development for an advanced nation. So these strategies focus on cradle to grave talent development and lifelong learning will improve labor productivities. These strategies mapping to quality education and decent work and economic growth in SDGs. While strategies trust 4, which is pursuing green growth for sustainability and resilience. So its focus on green growth will be a way of life. So it's mapping the trust of SDGs, six SDGs, which is climate action, life below water, responsibility about clean health and sanitation. Okay, so the next 11 Malaysia Plan is strengthening infrastructure to support economic expansion. Is focused on all Malaysians will have access to basic amenities and be connected through integrated transport and high-speed internet. New investment will focus on lowering costs of business and enhancing competitiveness. So it's mapping the SDGs 11 and 7 and 9, which is in industry and infrastructures, industry innovation and infrastructure. Okay, so the next strategies is re-engineering economic growth for greater prosperity, which is the it ensure quality growth and international competitiveness. All economic sectors will migrate towards more knowledge intensive and high value added activities with greater productivity. It's mapping to the trust of SDGs, which is zero hunger, defense work, economy and growth, and then industry, innovation and infrastructure, and the 17 SDGs is about partnership for the goals. Okay, Next, transforming public service for productivity. It's focused on rationalizing public sector institutions for greater productivity, enhancing service delivery with citizens at the center, strengthening telemanagement, enhancing project management, and capitalizing on local authorities for quality service at the local level, which is mapping to the Trust 16 of SDGs, which is peace, justice, and strong institution. So this table source is from Economic Planning Unit EPU, Prime Minister Department Malaysia. Okay, so for the last conclusion about our country commitments to the SDG is our government has formalized the institutional mechanism in the form of inter-agency coordinating bodies. Two main focal agencies responsible for coordinating and monitoring the implementation of these are the Economic Planning Unit, Prime Minister Department, and the Department of Statistics Malaysia. Okay, a national SDG council was formed and chaired by the Prime Minister of Malaysia and supported by a National Steering Committee (NSC). Under the NSC, there are 5 SDGs cluster work communities (CWCs) to identify indicators for each SDGs, developing and implementing program, and reporting progress to the NSCs. Each CWC is represented by various ministry or agency, civil society, private sector, academics, United Nations agencies, and youth representatives. One of the working community cluster is on environment and natural resources in charge of 6 sustainable development goals, which are goal 6 clean water and sanitation, goal 7 affordable and clean energy, goal 12 responsible consumption and production, goal 13 climate action, goal 14 life below water, and goal 15 life on land. Other initiative our government initiative is undertaken to embrace and implement the 17 SDG in a systematic and measurable manners are: first, organizing various national and international seminar, conference, dialogues, and discussion to promote participation of stakeholders. 2. Conducting studies on data readiness and gap analysis. 3. Establish a national SDGs roadmap to guide the implementation of Agendas 2030 and the SDGs. Okay, for the last, I want to share about the latest news that our Ministry of Environment and Water, Datuk Tuan Ibrahim Tuanman, had the opportunity to see for himself the real-time air quality monitoring system in Pasir Gudang near here. So, through his official Facebook page, Tuan Ibrahim said that the system which gives an early warning in the event of any air pollution incident will automatically alert the Department of Environment (DOE). So this news from Bernama, July 20, 2020. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Good day everyone. Today I'm going to present about local environmental issues in Malaysia, pandemic COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic in Malaysia is part of ongoing worldwide pandemic. The virus was confirmed to have reached Malaysia in January 2020. Localized cluster began to emerge in March, linked to religious gathering held in Sri Petaling. Within a few weeks, Malaysia recorded the largest cumulative number confirmed COVID-19 infection in Southeast Asia. Short and long-run implication pandemic COVID-19. All the sectors, including education, affected by COVID-19 outbreak. Universities and some places, universities, especially contractual staff, dismissed to cut costs. Lectures and tutorial move online. Ongoing lab research and enrollment of new students differ or delay. Almost all students' exchange program, academic conferences had been cancelled. Besides that, Employees in education sector face additional pressure to manage the disruption. Even if classes can move online, challenges remain. For example, for scientific research and classes require laboratory examination, which constitute of a component of the overall evaluation of students, also cannot be postponed indefinitely. Some flexibility needed by the authorities involved at all levels. Additional measures have to be placed in minimize disruption in education sector. Emphasis on digital education is clear step forward, but this has to be complemented with better cyber security. Education institutions also need to increase support for less privileged students. Let's see implication in school. As we know that Minister of Education announces extracurricular activity must be suspended starting from March 2020 until further notice. On 15 April, UPSR and PT3 examination is cancelled due to pandemic COVID-19. Other major school examination, including SPM and STPM, is postponed to 2021 and August 2020 respectively. On 23rd June, MOE announced that changes to school term holidays in order to help school better plan lessons that had been disrupted. Here are some information regarding the school holidays which been cut off. However, recently our Minister of Education announced that the December holiday will be given until January 2021. This is very happy news for all of us since we have to complete our education, Master of Education in 2 subjects. Okay, let me see. Move to remote teaching and learning title. The Prime Minister instructed MOE to implement home-based learning initiative for the duration of MCO to ensure children education will not be neglected during this COVID-19 period. MOE also issued teaching and learning guidelines to implement during the MCO, which provide a link to specific learning platforms such as Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. In fact, Malaysia emerged as the second largest country to use Google Classroom for online teaching during the MCO period. This is very good news for our country. Let's see the challenges with online teaching. The major challenges are limited internet access. Students do not have online data to receive any information from teachers. In some rural areas, the internet connection is very poor. Lack of electronic devices is second challenges. MOE, our Minister of Education, conducted a study involving parents and students. This revealed that the ownership of devices enable teaching and learning to be conducted at home is quite limited. The third challenges are teachers are ill. Teachers are ill equipped for the shift to remote learning. They lack the skills, training, and tools required for successful online teaching and learning. Let's see challenges with online teaching. How difficult to teach students through online.
Okay, double click on my computer. I can see your computer. No. Click on my computer on your computer. How can I click on your computer from my computer? There is an icon labeled my computer on your computer. Double click it. What the hell? What is your computer doing on my computer? Double click on your computer. Which icon do I have to click? My computer! Tell me, where do you live? I go to your house to click on your computer. Oh my god!
You see, friends, this is one of the examples of challenges we are facing during teaching online. Okay, we go to the next topic. Public exams cancelled. As I mentioned earlier, UPSR and PT3 is cancelled. However, even though the exam is cancelled, postponed to the exam to prevent confrontation of students, they cannot defer indefinitely. Students worried because academic schedule affected and the lack of adequate education at home. Next, assessment hurdles. Although a lot of assignment can be completed at home, examination constitutes a sizable component of the overall assessment. The alternative is to conduct online exam. However, the risk of cheating is high, especially when they cannot be monitored in person. For instance, at home computing exam at the National University of Singapore, when some students took advantage of COVID-19 measure to cheat. Besides this risk of cheating, given that some Malaysian students still have trouble with internet accessibility, the country is simply not ready to move towards online exams. Next, and administrative challenges. In general, Minister of Education and most universities and colleges have well-planned early schedules with stipulated months dedicated to semester break. For example, our University Islam Antarabangsa is one of the best example, as we know that we should completed our courses by July. But however, due to this COVID-19, our programs and these schedules is extended. Okay, next, the well-planned schedules are critical to operation running smoothly throughout the semester. Most importantly, ensure that students complete the courses that they sign up for. As I mentioned just now, we need to complete our courses by this year, but due to this pandemic, we have difficulty to complete by the time we should. Semester break education schedules allow students to attend student exchange programs or internship. Academic staff also need them in order to catch up on their research and writing. These schedules have suddenly been disrupted. Schools, university, and colleges administrators face challenges in rescheduling. It's not a simple way to reschedule. We all know that rescheduling takes time. Not only do they have to minimize disruption in working on the new schedules, they also have to ensure that conditions at their school and campus are arranged to stop COVID-19 transmission. Next, impact on employees. Academic staff have to learn to be comfortable with teaching online and to navigate the technical challenges of online classroom. Contractual staff, sessional lecturers, and part-time researchers already face employment uncertainty as a matter of course even before COVID-19. Mental stress that the staff have to face. Last one, academic staff not only learn online teaching, perhaps even tweaking their lessons, managing students' questions and complaint as well as marking papers. They also have to be more responsive to the students' queries. For those in the applied sciences in particular, it would be even harder for the academic staff to teach since they cannot use the tools in their laboratories. Non-academic staff have to manage schedules, complaints, and innocent queries from students and staff. This disruption will increase the mental stress and raise the possibility of burnout among education employees. Impact on students. The quality of teaching will be compromised as students can no longer enjoy the instruction in the school, lecture halls, and tutorial rooms. In an online setting, it's harder for students to ask questions in non-invasive way. In a school's lecture hall or tutorial room setting, everyone can observe each other's body language and have eye contact. The students also negatively affected. Recommendation to overcome this issue. Online teaching has to be continued as long as the risk of COVID-19 exists. Schools in Sarawak, Sabah and Kedah closed for certain period of time. Some degree of flexibility should be allowed. For instance, schools, universities and colleges allowed staff to go to school and campus on staggered schedules to record their lectures and settle their administrative work. This has been carried before the school started. SOPs such as temperature checking, social distancing should be followed. Students should also be allowed to meet their lecturers on appointment basis. This would truly help students who have hard time adapting to online teaching. Less privileged students should also be given the option to apply for additional assistance such as application to use facilities provided by the school. The school can then issue special passes for these students and stipulate that they can only be on campus for a specific period of time per day. Meetings can be conducted in an open space instead of confined office where physical distancing is maintained. Such arrangement will not only help in crowd control but also ensure that the less privileged students will not fall behind. Recommendation for administration level. Sanitation and disinfection will need to be conducted regularly. Markers also have to be pasted on floors to guide social distancing. Posters or outlines for hospitals and counseling should also be visible for staff and students. Students or staff who need counseling should be encouraged to seek counseling services to avoid burnout. Lastly, these are some programs applied by our Ministry of Education. Empowering and digitalizing education in Malaysia. Our MOE partnered with industry players including Microsoft to launch Dilemma or the Digital Education Learning Initiative Malaysia. The platform provides a range of digital learning enabling technologies and resources such as Microsoft 365 to 10,000 schools, teachers, millions students nationwide. The platform is currently averaging 1.7 million monthly active users to date, making it one of the largest national deployment in the world. In addition, Microsoft had also collaborated with the MOE to ease and fast-track the transition of public universities, community colleges, and polytechnical nationwide to remote learning using solutions such as Teams. Open webinars and online tutorials were also conducted to share knowledge on setting up remote meetings and virtual classrooms. Thank you. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rahida binti Abdurrahim from Group 7. The topic given is international and global environment issue. Today, I'm going to talk about the most global conventional issue, which is global warming.
Global warming is a term used for the observed century scale rise in the average temperature of the Earth climate system and its related effects. Scientists are more than 95% certain that nearly all of global warming is caused by increasing concentration of greenhouse gases and other human-caused emissions. Within the Earth's atmosphere, accumulating greenhouse gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone are the gases within the atmosphere that absorb and emit heat radiation. Increasing of decreasing amount of greenhouse gases within the atmosphere add to either hold in or release more of the heat from the sun. Global warming is the increase of average world temperature as a result of what is known as a greenhouse effect. This process is leading to the rapid change in climate, also known as climate change. It was caused by man-made and nature causes. Global warming is caused by the increase of the average global temperature of the Earth. Along with our currently increasing average global temperature, some part of the Earth may actually get colder, and while other parts get warmer, hence the idea is average global temperature. Greenhouse gas cause atmospheric heating and agitating also increase the unpredictability of the weather and climate, and dramatically increase the severity, scale, and frequency of storm, drought, wildfire, and extreme temperatures. Our atmosphere is getting hotter, more turbulent, and more unpredictable because of the boiling and churning effect caused by the heat-trapping greenhouse gases within the upper layer of our atmosphere, which is increase of carbon, methane, and other greenhouse gas level in the atmosphere. Our local weather and global climate is further agitated, heated, and boiled. Global warming can reach level of irreversibility, and increasing level of global warming can eventually reach an extinction level where humanity and all life on Earth will end. It is defined as a continuum of increasing temperature that cause the global climate to rapidly change until those higher temperatures become irreversible on practical human timescale. What is global warming effect? It is the increasing in average temperature and temperature extremes. One of the most immediately and obvious effect of global warming is the increase of temperature around the world. The average global temperature has increased by about 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 1.8 degrees Celsius over the past 100 years ago, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA). Extreme weather event. Extreme weather event is another effect of global warming. While experiencing some of the hottest summer on record, much of the United States has also been experiencing colder than normal winter. Change in climate can also the polar jet stream, the boundary between the cold North Pole air and the warm equatorial air. The migrate south bring with the cold Arctic air. This is why some states can have a sudden cold snap or colder than normal winter even during the long-term trend of global warming. Ice melting. One of the primary manifestations of climate change of far is melt. North America, Europe and Asia have been seen in trend toward less snow cover between 1916 and 2015. According to 2016 research published in the journal Current Climate Change Report, according to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, there is now 10% less permafrost or permanently frozen ground in the northern hemisphere than there was in the early 19th. The thawing of the permafrost can cause landslides and other sudden land collapses. It can also release long-buried microbial, as in 2016 case when a catch of buries re-enters carcasses and cause of outbreak of anthrax. Plant and animal. The effect of global warming on the Earth ecosystem are expected to be profound and widespread. Many species of plant and animal are already moving their range northward to the higher altitude as a result of warming temperature, according to a report from the National Academy of Science. They are not just moving north, they are moving from the equator toward the poles. They are quite simple, following the range of compatible temperature which is migrating to the pole as the global average temperature warms. Because of this, many animals may not be able to compete in the new climate regime and may go extinct. Addressing climate change will require many solutions. There is no magic bullet, yet nearly all of these solutions exist today, and many of them hint on human changing the way we behave, shifting the way we make and consume energy. They require change span technology, behavior and policies that encourage less waste and smarter use of our resources. For example, improvement to energy efficiency and vehicle fuel economy, increase the wind and solar power, biofuel from organic waste, setting a price on carbon, and protecting forests are all potent ways to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide and other gases trapping heat on the planet. Scientists are also working on ways to substance produce hydrogen, most of which is currently derived from natural gas, to feed zero-emission fuel cell for transportation and electricity. Other efforts are aimed at building better batteries to store renewable energy. Engineering a smarter electric grid and capture carbon dioxide from power plant and other sources, which the goal of storing is underground or tuning it into valuable produce such as gasoline. Some people argue that nuclear power, despite concern over Water use and toxic waste should also be part of the solution because nuclear plants don't contribute any direct air pollution while operating. While halting new greenhouse gas emission is critical, scientists have also emphasized that we have to extract existing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. More fanciful ideas for cooling the planet are called geoengineering scheme, also as spraying sunlight reflecting aerosol into the air or blocking the sun with a giant space microbe have largely been dismissed because they may pose more environmental risk than proven benefit. Planting trees, restoring sea grasses, and boosting the use of agriculture cover could help clean up significant amount of carbon dioxide. Restoring forests already cooked down in Brazil, for example, could draw about 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide out of the air, and a recent study published by the National Academy of Science estimates the world's forest and farm could store 2.5 gigatons. Those are relatively modest number given history carbon emission of 2.2 trillion metric tons that every contribution is needed to curtail the world's current trajectory. We can do as a leader to prevent global warming. When we as a leader to manage one organization, here are a variety of ways to empower decision makers and citizens with knowledge, ranging from normal educational curriculum to public service announcement about how to prevent global warming. The most important thing we did was we gave face-to-face by allowing discussion and brainstorming with how to convey the information to them. It is not about throwing evidence at student or employee, but about getting them to think about how to solve rather than teaching about the problem. We can have difficulty providing appropriate resources and activities. Kids at different ages need age-appropriate activities. That's why so many environmental efforts that have felt successful and that have built children identities have been about recycle. It built the identity of environmental steward because of the work. When it becomes important for them to understand the full scope of the problem and required solution. Besides of the discussing and talking to each other, we also give them a right example by reducing the usage of paper, because the more paper we use, the more tree will be cut, and then more tree will be cut to list the tree which produce oxygen, and from the lack of oxygen can cause of global warming. Even though it's just a simple action, but can you imagine if the whole entire place make you as an example, then it will give a big impact to our Mother Earth. Other practice that can reduce global warming is to unplug gadget that is not in use. A large majority of the energy that powers our home comes from fossil fuel, so unplugging as taking a break from electric devices can reduce your energy demand and carbon emission, and with all of these small action can bring a lot of change to our world. and that is how leader and management can educate other people about global warming. Communities around the world are already recognized the adaptation must also be part of the response of climate change. From flood-prone coastal town to region facing increased drought and fire, a new wave of initial focus on boosting resilience. Those include managing and preventing land erosion, building microgrid and other energy systems to withstand disruption, and design building a rising sea level in mind. Global warming is the major challenge for our global societies. There is very little doubt that global warming will change our climate in the next century. If implemented now, a lot of the cost and damage that could be caused by changing climate can be mitigated. Let us continue to love and save the world for the sake of our children, our future generation. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nur Radia binti Idris. I'm going to proceed with our last group presentation. Okay, I will cover about the global pandemics. Okay, in this slide, you will look about the history of pandemic. Okay, I'm going to share from 1981 till now. Okay, previously we have several crises, which are HIV, SARS, swine flu, Ebola, and the last one which we facing right now is coronavirus. Okay, HIV or AIDS, human immunodeficiency virus, which is develops into acquired immunodeficiency syndromes. Alright, okay, tough to have originated in West Africa in the early 20th century, discovered in the US in 1981, and it has spread globally, including Malaysia itself. Okay, on 2003, we have SARS, which means severe acute respiratory syndrome, which caused around 774 deaths. It is a viral respiratory illness. The initial outbreak was reported in southern China and then quickly moved to Hong Kong and other countries. Okay, in 2009, okay, we have swine flu, which is more than 200,000 dead, caused more than 200,000 dead. It is actually like influenza A, H1N1, and WHO estimates around 18,500 deaths, but other research suggests a death toll of over 200,000 people. In 2014, we have crisis Ebola, which caused more than 11,000 of deaths, and over 28,000 cases Ebola was reported. And the worst hit countries were Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea in West Africa. And the last one is what we are going to facing right now, coronavirus, which actually has caused more than 126,000 deaths so far. This is impact globally. Coronavirus is a viral respiratory illness. The initial outbreak in China, and it is quickly spreading throughout the world of Europe and eventually world lah. Alright. Okay. This pictures is about what going to face by the educationalists during the pandemic. This is during the Ebola actually. Okay, the first picture shows a student doing a lesson by radio during the Ebola crisis in 2014. At that time, radio was the most widespread and popular form of media in Liberia and Sierra Leone at the time. The second picture shows a teacher use a digital thermometer to check the temperature of a student when schools reopened after the Ebola crisis. And the third one shows the children are going to wash their hands thoroughly to avoid contamination with the Ebola virus. Okay, it is the same actually what we are going to have now. Okay, I'm going to share about HIV and coronavirus actually because the crisis is ongoing until now. Okay, what is HIV? HIV is human immunodeficiency virus. HIV is a virus that attacks cells that help the body fight infection. Okay, there is no cure, but it is treatable with medicine. Okay, impacts on education. Ministry of Education issued a short policy statement on HIV in September 1998, and it actually aims to equip all with skills to develop attitudes and practices to curb the spread and manage HIV. Okay, there are several objectives that are enumerated by the government. The first one is HIV or AIDS should be integrated into education at all levels and made it compulsory. So every student or each student have to learn about it. And the second one, content and methodology should be age appropriate. So primary and secondary will actually have the different content of the HIV. The third one, all staff should share responsibility in HIV or AIDS education. The fourth one, in-service curriculum and implementation plan to be developed in collaboration with Ministry of Health. The last one, AIDS counseling should be included in the training of guidance and counseling teachers. So it is important actually to insist the knowledge among the student about what is HIV and how they can prevent it from happen to their family, their own self, and more lah. Alright. Next, proceed to coronavirus. Okay. The COVID-19 actually, this pandemic has affected educational system worldwide, leading to the near total closure of schools, universities, and college. Okay, the corona pandemic had a profound impact on every aspect of life and of course not least education. Okay, young people affected by the closure of schools, teachers have joined health and care workers like Aska Watania, Sukarelawan, and many others who are on the front line of the fight against the virus itself. Okay, this pandemic put immense pressure that school and teachers are under. Are you stressed on that? Okay, I think maybe because we are still to conduct the educational or learning, even student doesn't have to come into the school, so teachers actually should conduct online learning and some more. Okay, school closures disproportionately impact the most disadvantaged student. It is conversion into the online education since we are facing a long period of disruption to formal education. And the last one, school administrators, teachers, and staff play their roles in order to help stop the spread of the disease. So everyone keep playing their roles to ensure there's no to stop the spread of the disease, the corona COVID-19. Okay, this is what happened to educational system during movement control order in Malaysia. Okay, as we know, all educational institutions remains closed until Ministry MOE announced to reopen the school, but by phase. Second one, online education, where we need to conduct online learning. The third one, free Yes 4G SIM card with 40 GB of data and pre-learning resources. And the last one, YTL Foundation is calling on teachers to nominate children from B40 families to receive free mobile phones and data under its Learn From Home initiative at YTL Foundation website. Okay, this is actually what happened to the educational system during movement control order in Malaysia. But actually it is the same. Maybe in China, there are a lot of school actually closed during the pandemic, because it impact the children also. Okay, the last one, checklist for school administrators, teachers and staff. Okay, we need to promote and demonstrate regular hand washing and positive hygiene behavior and monitor their uptake. For example, they need to wash their hand, sanitize their hand also. Okay, the second one, clean and disinfect school buildings, classroom, and especially water and sanitation facilities at least once a day. In my school, actually, we are placed the class with hand sanitizer, so everyone can use that. Okay, the third one, increase airflow and ventilation where climate allows. The fourthly is post sign encouraging good hand and respiratory hygiene practices. Maybe some schools can use banner, radio to make the student know about the crisis and how they tend to jaga kebersihan diri and all. Last one, to ensure trash is removed daily and disposed of safely. Okay, this is actually some of the checklists for the school administrators, teachers and staff. Okay, for the conclusion, I would say the educational system itself will necessarily be affected by the environmental crisis that happen in certain time, period and place. Thus, educational management have to place their roles in order to ensure that education is still happen during the horizon issues or crisis. Instead of that, as an educationalist, we have to insist environmental awareness among students itself to keep reminds them with the impact of environmental issues that arise. Besides, teachers and educational management should be ready with all the changing environment that suddenly happen. Okay, besides that, I would conclude also that actually teachers always need to upgrade themselves, because during MCO we are conducting online learning, so teachers have to know about ICT technology and how to use software, that and that. Okay, so for my conclusion, I would say environmental issues and crisis actually affect educational system also, and as teachers we have to ready about that, because maybe we are facing a changing environment that suddenly happen. Okay, that's for all for our group. So thank you. Assalamualaikum.